Hello, my name is Katie. Welcome back to my channel. I have been a little under the weather. You can probably hear that. We went over it in the last video I posted. Moving on. I'm filming this same day, same location, whatever. You guys know how this goes. This is like kind of a July TBR, but not really. It's just a pile of books that I picked out to select from for the month. And I thought I would share with you since I have something here. So first up, I have a few that I've already started. Oh gosh, we're falling. Hold on. Okay. I started Wild Seed by Octavia E. Butler. This is the Patternist series or the Pattern Master series. I have no idea. Why don't I know this? Okay, it says the Patternist series. Anyway, I've been trying this so far. It's, you know, a little weird because that's Octavia E. Butler. But we have Doro and Anwanyu, and they are both different. Doro is like a spirit that he just jumps from body to body. He doesn't really seem to have much of a form of his own, or if he does, it's not pleasant from what I've gathered. And then Anwanyu is just who she is, but she has this ability to manipulate things inside her own body. So she can like change her form and her shape. She can pick out like what's wrong, like a disease in her body. And she can like change it to expel the sickness, or like at one part I just read, she's on a ship and she's starting to get seasick, and so like she like takes inventory of her body and realizes it's an inner ear issue and does whatever she needs to do to set it back to normal. Very interesting. So she is very old, but they meet, and I believe this book is just like, let's see, they're the only people who really might pose a threat to each other. And it says, the moment Doro meets Anwanyu, he covets her, and from the villages of 17th century Nigeria to 19th century United States, their courtship becomes a power struggle that echoes through generations, irrevocably changing what it means to be human. If you've been around at all, you know I am obsessed with Octavia E. Butler. Incidentally, I actually haven't read Kindred, which I think is like her most famous work, and I think that's why I haven't read it. So once I finish everything else, I will do it. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. I'm also working on The Last Nomad by Shugri Sal. She's not like actually the last nomad. She's just the last nomad of her family. So both her mother and her father came from tribes of nomads, and she, of all her siblings, was chosen to go be like a helper to her grandmother. And so she went and also lived as a nomad, and then I believe like a civil war broke out or something. Yeah, the Somali Civil War, she ended up in North America. And she just really wanted to write her story because she was the last of her family, of her generation, and she didn't want to have it be lost. So I'm really looking forward to this because I think it'll be really interesting. I don't think I've ever really read anything about nomad tribes in Africa, so this hopefully will work really well for me. The final book that I've already started, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not going that well, is Elektra by Jennifer Saint. I read Ariadne. It was okay. I didn't dislike it. It was one of those, like, I'm going to say this, I'm going to sound like an asshole, but it's what's in my head. She's like a poor man's Madeline Miller. Ugh. So if you really enjoy a Greek retelling and need something to fill the gap, you know, it'll work. I'm just saying it's not my favorite. This one is, let's see. So I am on page 34, and Elektra had the prologue, And then so far I've heard from her mother, Clytemnestra. Oh my god, I have such a hard time saying that name, and I'm not sure if it's just because it's difficult or if it's just me. And then Cassandra, the seer who will never be believed. So I think it's pretty interesting that it's supposed to be Elektra's story, and yet she's not really. I have to read chapter 5, and then she comes in chapter 6. Because where I'm at, Clytemnestra has just married Agamemnon, so Elektra hasn't even been born yet. There's still like a whole other sibling to come. So we'll see how this goes. Ariadne actually followed Ariadne from the beginning, and then in part 2 we got perspective from Ariadne and her sister, and then it wound up going just back to Ariadne, and so like that made sense to me that it was titled Ariadne. But this, I'm not sure why it's called Elektra when we seem to have so many other perspectives. So I'm questioning things. I've also been trying to read this book for like a solid week, and I've only gotten to page 35. So, I mean, it could just be a mood thing. That does happen, but anyway, it is what it is. Okay, and then this is like a big random pile. I have All I Want by Darcy Bell. I know nothing about this except she wrote A Simple Favor, which was a movie that I really liked and a book that I felt mediocre about. But it is, okay, when Emma's husband Ben falls in love with a neglected Victorian mansion for sale in upstate New York, he swears to her the fixer-upper will be worth the trouble. Sure, the old house is a little dilapidated and has a bit of a creepy past, but the nearby country town seems nice enough. So they set aside any misgivings and make an offer. After all, whatever happens, Ben and Emma are in it together, aren't they? So yeah, I like thrillers and I like stuff that is surrounding like old houses. So I thought this could be interesting and also should be pretty quick and easy to read. I'm trying to get through as many of the books on my, like unread books on my shelf as I can before the move. That way I can get rid of what I don't like, keep what I really do love, and then, you know, try and narrow it down by that. I have The Caretakers by Amanda Bestor Siegel. I also barely remember this. Set in a wealthy Parisian suburb, an emotionally riveting debut told from the point of view of 6 women and centered around a group of au pairs, one of whom is arrested after a sudden and suspicious tragedy strikes her host family. A dramatic exploration of identity, class, and caregiving from a profoundly talented new writer. I enjoy reading from debut authors. I hopefully will be putting up another video soon about 2022 debuts that you should read. I was thinking I'll do one for the first half of the year and try to do one for the second half of the year. Not necessarily that they came out then, it's just like when I read them. Then I have The Lost Diary of Venice by Margot Durow. I don't really know anything about this, but it's like historical fiction and there's like a lost diary. It was one of those things where there's a lot of like buzzwords that really work for me, so I bought it. This one, I have A Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. I don't remember a whole lot about this, but it says Ocean's 11 meets The Farewell in Portrait of a Thief, a lush lyrical heist novel inspired by the true story of Chinese art vanishing from Western museums, about diaspora, the colonization of art, and the complexity of the Chinese-American identity. I like a heist novel, and apparently this got some buzz recently, so I'm looking forward to this. I have another thriller, Bath House by P.J. Vernon. I've heard mixed reviews on this. I think largely because it deals with a gay man and a gay bathhouse. So I can see how that could be controversial depending on the content. So yeah, I don't really know much about it. I don't really need to. I'm just gonna give it a go and see what I think. I have Afterlan by Lauren Bukes. I've been sitting on this book forever and I decided it's time to just either get rid of it or read it. It's a dystopian and I tend to like dystopian books, but it's following a woman who is living in a world in which men like are becoming extinct and she has a son and she's trying to like protect him at all costs. So that should be pretty good. Oh my gosh, can you hear the fireworks? It's July 4th, and they started this at like 3 a.m. And my dogs are like not pleased. It's okay now that like it's light out, but in the dark, they don't like it very much. Anyway, moving on. I have The Shimmering State by Meredith Westgate. I don't know much about this. I think it's kind of science fiction-y. Yeah. Lucian moves to Los Angeles to be with his grandmother as she undergoes an experimental memory treatment for Alzheimer's using the new drug. Loki, do you mind? He doesn't mind. Using the new drug memoraxin, an emerging photographer, he's also running from the sudden death of his mother, a well-known artist whose legacy haunts him even far from New York. Sophie has just landed the lead in the upcoming performance of La Sylphie with the Los Angeles Ballet Company. She still waitresses at the Chateau Marmont during her off hours, witnessing the recreational use of memoraxin, or mem, among the Hollywood elite. When Lucian and Sophie meet at the center, founded by the ambitious yet conflicted Dr. Angelica Sloan to treat patients who have abused mem, they have no memory of how they got there or why they feel so inexplicably drawn to each other. Is it attraction or something they cannot remember from before? So that should be interesting, or it's going to really suck. I don't see an in-between there. And then finally, I have The School for Good Mothers by Jessamine Chan. This is about Frida Liu. She is like first-gen Chinese American, and it's in America in which Big Brother is particularly watching mothers. So take that as you will. And she makes some kind of parenting mistake, and she is taken away from her child and sent to the School for Good Mothers. We'll see. I'll read this and let you know what I think. I have high hopes because somebody whose taste I tend to like agree with, I guess. Really enjoyed this one. So those are the books that I'm trying to read in July. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these or want to read any of these, or if there's any particular book in July that you're excited about. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will chat with you in the comments soon. Bye.